Hello, hello. Found it impossible to start the stream tonight. Something, something kept popping up. Things kept popping up and delaying me, but we're finally live. I'm just doing a quick check of things, doing something a little bit different tonight. All right, so we're live on Twitch, and we should be live on YouTube as well. Cool. We're live everywhere. I'm gonna quickly pimp out the stream on Blue Sky and X, and then I'll start tonight's stream proper. Running a pretty low tech stream these days, even after the rebrand. Just trying to keep things simple, but sometimes a little bit too simple. Okay. And so, This is great television. Top-notch entertainment. Post the link to Discord. Alrighty. Minasan, konnichiwa. Hey everyone. How's it going tonight? I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna get my tablet here and pop open Stream Manager. I probably don't need to do that too much. I think it should be good. That's only really helpful if I'm playing a game. And I'm not playing a game tonight. So yeah, doing something a little bit different tonight. I'm not gonna be playing Yakuza Like a Dragon. Tonight I'm gonna be talking about my learning journey. Of course, I've been learning Japanese for the last few months. Sometime around the middle of October, I decided to commit myself to learning how to speak Japanese. So, 3 months? It's roughly about 3 months since I started. And ever since I rebranded my channel, kind of like back in December, I think end of November, early December, ever since I rebranded the channel, I realized that all I've been doing is just playing Yakuza Like a Dragon on stream. And my original intention, at least with the YouTube channel, the YouTube side of things, was actually put out more sort of like standard pre-recorded content about my journey as a Japanese language student and just talk about the lifestyle and trials and tribulations of learning a new language as an adult. I am getting fairly up there in age in terms of learning new languages, and in choosing Japanese, I'm finding out Japanese is a very complicated language to learn, especially if you are a native English speaker. So I'm using tonight's stream as a bit of a dry run to cover some topics that may eventually be redone as like a YouTube video or a series of YouTube videos. So tonight I really just wanted to talk about the learning resources I've been using as a beginner, and give you kind of like a mini reviews. Maybe not even mini reviews, just like first impressions of some of the learning apps and learning tools that are out there right now and that I've been exposed to. And really just go from there. So I suppose the target audience for this stream would be anyone who's in the same boat as I am, who maybe even earlier in their journey where they're thinking about starting, uh, they're interested in Japanese culture, they're interested in the language, and they're thinking about starting. That's probably the ideal audience. So it's like a subset of a subset of a subset of a potential audience, especially on Twitch, on a live stream on Twitch, where yeah, I don't think bring. Oh, there's too many of you out there. Hopefully there are. We'll see. Yeah, but let's get started. Let me get some water here. Behind me, you'll see a website that's called Tofugu. And when I first, okay, let's back up a bit. In 2024, I downloaded Duolingo. This is something you can download for Android and iOS. It's a very well-known learning app. It's not just Japanese. They teach a variety of other languages, and I think they've expanded into a whole host of other things. Like I sign up for like their chess education, and I just like did a few quick lessons of chess. I know they have mathematics. They have other sort of topics and disciplines. They've really expanded to cover like the whole gamut of education. But I got it to start learning Japanese, and I think Duolingo is one of those apps that is just really, really good just to get someone's foot in the door. Um, of all the apps I've used, they have like incredible gamification. And I actually don't want to talk just about Duolingo right now, but just to kind of set the stage, I did start using Duolingo in 2024, and I built up a pretty good rhythm of just logging in each morning to do about 5 minutes worth of lessons, sometimes 10, but it was really easy to just jump in and just start learning, going through the exercises. And I did that. I was on a pretty good streak for several months in 2024. And then things got kind of crazy around March of that year. A lot of personal stuff started to happen, and I just dropped off the app. And I didn't come back to the app. I came back to that maybe closer to the end of 2024, very briefly, and then I dropped off. And it wasn't until like about October or maybe the summer of last year where I kind of started to use it semi regularly again, and ended up even paying for a subscription. Um, yeah, that was around like last summer. And so, yeah, when I decided in back in October to start taking things more seriously, I continued to use Duolingo, which I will talk about in more detail once I sort of do like my mini reviews of some of these apps. But what really was useful to me was the Tofugu website. Tofugu is, I think, another big, pretty well known resource for learning how to speak Japanese. They have they have a lot of free content, and I know that they have a paid service called Wani Kani, and that's specifically dedicated to teaching you kanji. Um, yeah, that's a whole nother thing. I haven't really touched a whole lot of kanji so far. Um, so the first 2 weeks of me taking things seriously, trying to learn Japanese, was going through their ultimate guide to learning hiragana and conversely doing their ultimate guide to katakana. Excellent, excellent guides. Highly recommend it. They walk you through each each character of the alphabet. Basically, hiragana and katakana, they're like the alphabet of the Japanese language. And I just found their teaching style and the humor and the way they use the mnemonics. I think the mnemonics is key. And what's a mnemonic? Well, you can even see it right at the top in their header here, where it's like, well, you see a symbol, hiragana symbol, and you're like, how am I going to remember this one is meh? How am I going to remember that? Well, doesn't it look like an eyeball? Yeah, just think of it as an eyeball. Or like you have ne over on the right hand side there, and it looks like a cat. And they'll basically, I'm going to show you. Yeah, they have these diagrams where they'll just sort of teach you how to pronounce it, show you the character as it's written, and then they'll show mnemonic to help you remember it. And sometimes these mnemonics get really stretched, but because the author is so good at using humor, you buy into it. Right? Some of this stuff is like, well, I'm at the point now where I've forgotten what the mnemonics are. Like, I've memorized all the hiragana and katakana characters thanks to using this guide going through, and it doesn't take long at all. Once you kind of buy into their system and start using their mnemonics, it's really, really easy. So you can see like the little illustrations they have are super charming and can be pretty funny. So I went through these, took my time, but yeah, spent about a week on the hiragana guide. Now, not just the guide. I'll show you in a second what else I did. So I did the hiragana guide, and then right after learning, after going through this guide, I would do the quiz. Or as I went through each section, they break it down into sections of like, okay, here's the first column of hiragana characters, here's the second one. And after each one, you can do a quiz. And I thought I had the quiz pulled up. Oh, here it is. Yeah. So, yeah. So Tofugu's Learn Kana quiz is another page or a different website altogether. But essentially, you can just practice either hiragana or katakana, and then you can choose to practice the main kana, the dakuten kana, or the combination kana. I learned all this stuff, but yeah, what I ended up doing the most was just the main and dakuten kana. The combination kana can get a little tedious, but yeah. So as an example, let's say, yeah, I finished learning this column, right? Or this collection of oo and right? Yay, got them all right. Finish quiz. They'll tell you your score, and you can do it again, or just go back home. And eventually, you just start building up. Like, next day you'll learn the next set, and you quiz yourself on the expanded set, right? So again, ko, a, ku, ka, e, ki, ke, and then you're done. And it just build up. You just over time, you just eventually you just do all of them, right? And then eventually you do all the Dakuten kana. This was actually the hardest one. Getting my head wrapped around this while I was still learning the main kana was actually a little challenging. But this is an awesome resource for just learning the the hiragana and katakana. You can do the same for katakana, right? So I'm not gonna do it all here again, but you get the point. A plus. A plus for the Tofugu resource here. The quizzing and the guides. They have the hiragana, the ultimate guide for hiragana, ultimate guide for katakana. They're both free. It's not just like I didn't also mention they also have supplementary material. You can download a chart. You can download a chart for the mnemonics. They have exercises as well. You can download and print out. It's a really awesome resource. It's so good, in fact, that when I do finally decide to commit myself to learning kanji seriously, I would consider Wani Kani. Wani Kani. Which is, as I said, kind of like their premium service. 2,000 kanji, 6,000 vocabulary words in just over a year. I don't know how much this costs, but it's very well known, it seems, and I've always seen good reviews or good user reviews on it. So, yeah, I wholeheartedly recommend Tofugu. Now, let's go back and talk about Duolingo. So I do have dark mode, so the website looks a little bit like overly dark almost, but yeah, Duolingo. When I first started using it, I thought it was actually really good. I thought like I kind of bought into the hype. It's like, oh wow, no wonder Duolingo is like that's the only app I knew back when I first downloaded it. Duolingo. And that's all I knew. I thought that was like the be all and end all of language learning apps. And once I started to use it, I started to get a sense of like, oh yeah, no wonder this is so popular. It's fun. It's fun to go through the lessons. It's easy. It's really easy going. And this is easy. They do a really good job of just pulling you in right away, giving you some really sort of like approachable bite-sized lessons and very bite-sized exercises to do. So they'll give you a very short lesson and then they pair it with some exercises, and on average it only takes you, it should only take you 3 to 5 minutes if you're trying to like speed through them pretty quickly. Let me get some water here. Now, in hindsight, or as I've used it over the course of like a year plus on and off, and now having been exposed to the wider spectrum of what's out there for Japanese language learners, I see Duolingo in a different light. 100%. The problems with Duolingo are that it's extremely gamified. This works to its advantage. It's also a big detriment. If I can show you my own app on my phone here, I'm gonna hold up to the camera. The game is designed with all the usual sort of like sticky design principles you would expect from a modern mobile app, right? So it's very good at getting you to log back in every day. Like their retention mechanics are really well tuned. But when you start thinking about oh, we got an incoming ad break in about 50 seconds. Just as a heads up. So I'll show you the I don't know if you guys can see the app here. But yeah, you have like a track. You just kind of go along on like a linear. Also, think of it as like a campaign, story campaign. So you can kind of see there, and you just go along, and each node is like a different type of lesson or exercise. You just go through it. Sometimes you'll have a node where it's just purely centered on listening. You listen to a conversation between two people, and then they test you on what you can understand from the conversation. This is an extremely simple conversation, or sort of like exposition from one person, and it'll be like, "Oh, well, did you detect any of these words or phrases?" And it'll just have you pick from three possible options, and like two out of three are always mentioned in whatever was spoken. So it's really hard to mess that up. Stuff like that. The bulk of the lessons have to do with like, okay, well, here's a phrase, here's a sentence in Japanese, and then they have a bunch of words in English at the bottom. And you just pull the appropriate words out from the bottom to piece together the sentence to make the translation, or vice versa. They'll have the sentence in English, and then you piece together the sentence using the Japanese words and particles offered to you at the bottom. And a lot of times you don't use them all, right? So there's some like red herrings in there, but by and large, it's not too hard. And that's, I think, that's the primary issue I have Duolingo so far, is that I'm not too far in terms of just like my level in the app. I'm only level 12, but it's never been very challenging. And the pure repetition that they throw at you gets to the point where it's like it's beating a dead horse, where they will keep repeating the same type of sentences, essentially teaching the same type of concepts to you, way past the point of like when you learned it. It's down pat. And I think they kind of dwell at the same level of complexity for too long before moving forward. Right? So it kind of creates this, what it ends up doing is it creates this false sense of security. Because every time you're going through these lessons, they're just like high fiving you, celebrating, popping off shit. And it's just very easy to get how do you say, seduced into this rhythm of just, like I said in the very beginning, I would just log in, just use it for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then just put it down, and that would be it. um and I just thought to myself, oh, as long as I keep using this every day, eventually I'm gonna be able to like understand Japanese. Yeah, I suppose in like 50 years, it's extremely, it's just not enough. I've kind of gotten to the point now where I think we're in an ad break now, or we might be out of the ad break. Yeah, I got to the point now where it's like I kind of know enough to kind of realize how much more there is to learn. Like how much more there truly is to learn to really get a handle on the language. And just using Duolingo for 5 to 10 minutes a day is just not enough. It can be fun, but when I still incorporate it in my sort of daily study ritual, right? It's one of those things where it's like I do want to keep the streak going. Back to the gamification. You have leaderboards. You have things like leaderboards. You have like a streak counter. If you miss a day, it's not a big deal. They have these things called streak guards. It's like, oh, you can earn these streak guards. So, you may miss a day here and there, but hey, you got a streak guard. Eventually you'll run out. So if you miss a day, you don't have a streak guard, you're gonna lose your streak. Would you like to, spend some gems to keep your streak alive? That sort of stuff. And then, yeah, ultimately, the gamification kind of starts to overshadow the actual value and integrity of the content, because it is a little thin. It is a little it is quite slow, and it's jumbled in the way that they approach how they teach you things. In some way, it's refreshing, where it's not like I'm gonna talk about another app called Boonpo next, but like they'll teach you a little. They'll start teaching you Japanese right away to start speaking it, and like many lessons later, they finally introduce you to hiragana, and then they'll make you learn like a handful of hiragana characters in such a way that you don't really retain it, not nearly as well as going through the Tofugu Ultimate Hiragana Guide. So they'll introduce you a little bit of hiragana, and they don't want to let you proceed until you kind of gone through the hiragana lessons. And okay, we're done with the hiragana. Back to the usual song and dance of like repeating sentences, like playing like the word scramble thing, doing the listening exercises. None of it's very challenging. And then all of a sudden it's like, we'll take a little break, we'll do some more hiragana. It's very disjointed. So yeah. So how I use it now is like, I just want to keep my streak alive. I will do one lesson, maybe two. I'll look at my daily quests, and if there's some low hanging fruit, where it's like, oh, if I just do just one more lesson than usual, and I can just complete my daily quest, I'll go for it. But it's a nice appetizer to like the real studying, right? Because Duolingo, at the end of the day, is more of a game than anything else. I could go on about Duolingo. I think maybe in like another format, I will do a more in-depth sort of beginner's review of Duolingo, but I think that's enough for now. Okay. Let's talk about Boonpo. Boonpo, if I'm not mistaken, means grammar in Japanese. This is another mobile app. I don't know if they have like a complimentary website. They probably do, since you can log in here. I've only been using the app on my iPhone. Boonpo, I've also I should have mentioned Duolingo. It's free to use. It's ad supported if you don't want to pay a dime. Ads do get on your nerves. If you want to do like a string of lessons, you'll be kind of like, ads will cut in at some point, and you're just gonna have to sit there and wait for the ads to play out. But because like it's so easy to just use the app for like 5 minutes or so, like it may not be a big deal. Anyway, Boonpo is a much better app. It's a lot more sort of standard. It still has some gamification in it, in that it will track like your streaks, your daily streaks. It'll have a leaderboard. It'll have some sort of reward mechanics, but it's much lighter and less obnoxious in your face than Duolingo. It is also structured in a way that makes more sense. It's structured like you're actually going to like Japanese lessons at a school, I think. So when I first started using it, it all it did was teach you hiragana. So by then, I'd already been fairly well practiced using Tofugu's stuff. So I knew my hiragana, and I could just blitz through that stuff. Um, and then from hiragana, let me just pull it up. What did it do next? Wait, I'm looking at. Oh, okay. So they structure it in that they teach you just the alphabets and some basic words. So it was hiragana, then they do katakana, and they kind of mix in a little bit of kanji. And then from there, they break things down based on the Japanese language proficiency test levels. So there's five. The first level being N5 and the most advanced level being N1. I'm still going through the N5 stuff. I'm only about like 40% through the N5 stuff at this point. I really like this app. I ended up paying for the lifetime. Um, what do they call it? Is like pay with the premium version. You basically have access to all the content. Because I think after you do the hiragana and katakana, or not even like even after just a couple quick lessons, they paywall you. So you do get a pretty good taste of things before you need to open up the wallet. But they had like the whole beginner offer thing where, oh, get premium, but it's half off now. I mean, basically any first time user is always going to be half off. And I think there's an even higher tier than that. The highest, the super premium tier gives you these special lessons where you actually get to talk to somebody. I think is either an AI or there's actually someone on staff. Like they have like people that you can actually talk to and do set spoken word and spoken and listening exercises with. I didn't go that far. I just got the first tier premium, so I have access to all the lessons. And yeah, so far so good. I just got through. What did I just finish up with? I'm in the N5 section. Got through chapter 3. No, sorry. Got through chapter 4. We were just doing like particles. I'm still going through particles. And I would say my biggest gripe with Bunpo is that it's a little buggy, where you will enter your answer for a question, and then they'll show you what the correct answer is. Whether you got it right or wrong, they'll show you what the correct answer is, and then a voice will read it out in Japanese. Sometimes what you see on screen, it does not match what is spoken, and it's just feels really sloppy. you know, Sometimes it's egregiously wrong. There's also a lot of cropping out of voices. So like you might learn a series of 5 words or phrases, and then once you've gone through the set, they'll show them all to you in a list, and then you're supposed to read them one after the other. Sometimes they'll skip one, or like the last one will not be spoken. Again, it's very consistent and it's very sloppy. The biggest, the thing that's bothered me most about this app, and it's only happened twice so far, is that the the learning curve, the complexity curve of their lessons is actually really well done for the most part. Once in a while, they'll teach you a concept, but then they'll just throw in like another completely new concept that they never expose you to. And then you gotta start doing exercises and quizzes with those two concepts combined. And like it just goes from being smooth to being like something that's like a brick wall. And it can be very frustrating because you get something wrong and you can't get an explanation. That's not, if you want to get an explanation of why you got a question wrong, that's the next tier up that you got to pay for. And in those cases where I was just bombarded with like too many new concepts at once, and then I was expected to know it for like the series of quiz questions, I just got so frustrated. I was like, screw you. I just want to know why I got it wrong. But they're like, nah, you got to pay. So what I had to end up doing was just go through, just play out the lesson. Got a bad score, but then they always let you just go back. They let you repeat the lesson as many times as you want until you finally get all the questions correct. And you can never, when you do that, you can never get full score on the lesson, but they'll throw you some like consolation points. So there's still some value if you care about the points in this app. You know, it's worthwhile to just repeat the lesson to get it all right, just to learn it, right? But you'll get points for your troubles as well. You're never gonna get the full score, but you'll get points. So like, good job. The biggest thing though was just like I couldn't get on the spot when I get a question wrong. I couldn't get an explanation. You had to pay for it. So I was like, what the hell? Like when you're in the moment and you're wrestling with a concept, if you don't get something and you get it wrong, you just want to know what's up, right? So where they chose to monetize that, on one hand, I can sort of understand it. They saw that opportunity to be like, oh, hold up the hand, ask for a little bit of moolah. But on the other hand, I've already paid for the app. It seems kind of dirty. And in the moment, I felt angry with the app. But overall, I think Boonbo is one of the pillars, I would say, of like my daily study. Josh, hey, thanks for the raid. Welcome, Wabbit Army. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's it going? Let me give you a shout out. It's been a while, my friend. It's been a while. You were playing Brighter Shores. Huh. I've never heard of that game. I'm actually gonna pull up. Is it on Steam? How was it? How was the game and how was your stream tonight? I'm gonna do a quick Steam search here. Brighter Shores. Brighter Shores is a free game. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna mute that. Has to do with sailing. Guess that would make sense. Oh no, it looks like a tactical RPG or something. This looks like a Josh game. It's like RuneScape. Yeah. Stream was good. My stream's alright. It's just me talking into the void. I'm not playing any games tonight. I just wanted to take a step back and just talk about what it's been like trying to learn Japanese for the last 3 months. I'm kind of doing. I wanted to do just mini reviews of some of the tools and resources I'm using. It's ended up being like long reviews, if I'm being honest. But I have no producer in my ear telling me to like cut things short. So it's just me rambling on. A Josh game. You know what I mean, right? RuneScapey. Something that's kind of RuneScapey. Got a little bit of adventuring, got a little bit of survival stuff, got, maybe a lot of grinding involved. I don't know. The game just looked like it has your name written on it. Yeah, so welcome in. Thank you so much for the raid. It seems like you've um been a little bit more busy in your life, and you've maybe not streamed as much as you have. I certainly haven't seen you stream as much anymore. I'm not trying to draw attention to it, but it's good. It's good that you streamed, and I wonder if this like something that's gonna be a more regular thing, or whether it's just you just happen to be free today or tonight, and you thought you just pop on Twitch and have a little fun. But thank you so much for stopping by. If you are interested in gaming content, I apologize. There's no games tonight. I usually play Yakuza Like a Dragon, but then I realized ever since I rebranded my channel about learning Japanese and Japanese immersion, all I've been doing is playing Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is like that's gonna be like the bulk of the content, especially the live streams for sure, is just to play Japanese language games. Try and make sense of them. Play them with English subtitles turned on, of course, or else I won't know what the hell's going on. But just the constant exposure, right, to hearing Japanese. But tonight I thought, well, I just want to talk about the journey. How are things going so far? Stuff like that. Time zones are a thing. When I stream, you're either working or sleeping. True, true. You do stream late though. You can. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I remember when I was more free during work, and I'd be able to tune into live streams on the side. Nowadays, especially at the beginning of this year, getting a lot busier. And even if I have like YouTube on the side or some music on the side, that maybe even a little bit too distracting. Yeah. So things are getting pretty busy. It's the usual thing at the job. More responsibilities, more work, more stress. More pay? Maybe. You stream every so often. You have no schedule. Yes, yes. I think that's been the case for a while. No real schedule for you. Totally cool. So I was just wrapping up talking about Boonpo, which is a language learning app you can get on mobile, and apparently you can log in on a browser, and I think you can access your account and the same content from the browser, which I might try doing. Generally a pretty good app. I did just mention before you guys came in on the raid, I was kind of highlighting some of the negatives of Boonpo, where they'll just have like really smooth sort of like learning curve. So you just bang out lessons one after the other, and it's like, okay, I like the pace that they're going. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, instead of just introducing one new concept, one key concept, they'd be like, well, you should probably learn this other new thing too, and this other new thing too, because they're all kind of interconnected. Okay, now we have a bunch of questions for you, like a quiz. Answer them, and you're just like, what the hell? And you go from like getting everything correct because you've been paying attention and you're learning it, you're absorbing it. You go from getting everything correct to like getting most of it wrong, and you're just like, well, what did you do wrong, right? You hit the button to explain my mistake, and you're like, no. If you want to hear an explanation of what you got wrong, you gotta pay a little bit more money for the higher tier subscription. And then in the moment, you just feel like saying, fuck you, app. Just tell me what I got wrong so I can learn. Don't get me wrong, Josh. It's a good app. It's better than Duolingo. I already did a whole spiel about Duolingo. Um, Boonpo, I would say, is still a foundation for my daily sort of lessons and practice. We already talked about Tofugu. Yeah, let's talk about Renshu. Mm, Renshu, I would say, is it for me. If I had to give away all the apps I'm using, and if I just had to settle for one, I probably keep Renshu. It's made by one guy. I'm sure he has some help, but essentially it's started by one guy. And give me a second. I gotta turn on some. I gotta turn on the heater. It's getting a little nippy. And it's great. They have tailored lessons based on sort of like what you're trying to achieve as a language learner. So if you're trying to be like, oh, I'm gonna move to Japan and get a job there and work, so you're gonna be super hardcore. I think they'll tailor a learning track based on that. If you just want to be like, oh, I just want to be able to like speak to Japanese people here and there, daily conversations, then they'll have something like that. If you want something even more casual, I think they'll tailor something for that too. Or if you're trying to take like the proficiency tests, they'll tailor the content for you as well. Old Man is cold. Brr. It's it sucks because anyway, I don't. I'm gonna. I could just go on and complain about my house, how bad it is at retaining heat. But yes, I'm cold. And it's probably colder where you live, Josh. I don't want to ever move anywhere near where you are. Your mom bought My mom bought me for Christmas a book where you learn Japanese while reading manga at the same time. What's the book called? There's there was yeah, -9 Celsius. Fuck that. Ever since I started learning, started learning Japanese, I get fed ads. The algorithm is feeding me ads for these different apps. I have this app installed on my phone called Migaku, and I believe it's based around um like you watch anime with Japanese subtitles, for example, and you pause. If you pause it and you hold up your phone with the app to capture what's on screen, it will take the subtitles and automatically translate them for you. And then they'll do it in such a way where you can just tap on individual words or characters, and it will pop up additional information. Right? You want to know this word? Oh, it's a verb, and it'll just show you like the conjugations of the verb. It might show you like related, like synonyms or like related verbs, things like that. So they are really encouraging you to just use this in conjunction with like watching anime or Japanese dramas, anything like that. Okay, yeah. Thanks for the DM. I'll check Discord after the stream. There's also I saw ads for another service where it's essentially Netflix for Japanese language students. I forgot the name. Shows you how good their advertising is. But essentially, it's the similar concept as Migaku, except the service is actually hosting the content for you. and they do the detailed subtitling for you. I've been tempted to pay, at least for like, it'll pay for like a short-term trial. I assume they're both subscription services, so I've been tempted to try both of them out, but I haven't been pushed over the edge to do so. What I do is I just go on YouTube. That's another thing that I wanted to talk about. But let me just finish talking about Renshu first. Renshu has really good lessons and explanations about grammar. I found that they're probably the best. Boonpo has a pretty good as well when they're describing things like, oh, how to use verbs, how are basic sentences structured, how to use particles. I think Renshu though is the best. And I think, yeah, what they do, the overall sort of structure of Renshu is that they have 2 tracks. They have vocabulary and they have grammar. And every day, like for vocabulary, every day they'll give you 6 new words to learn. And once you've done learning those 6 words, they will review at random the last 40 words that they've taught you. So obviously, when you first start, you're not going to be asked to, you're not going to be quizzed on 40 words. At this point, I've probably been exposed to a few hundred. So of that pool, each day they'll pick 40, and then they'll quiz you on those. Every time they introduce a new word or they quiz you on a word, you have the option. Of course, they hear it spoken, see the hiragana or katakana, and then there's also you get to hear the word or see and hear the word used in the context of a real sentence. Some of these sentences can be like real ball busters, where it's just like, this sentence is hella advanced, but it's broken down so that the word that they taught you is highlighted, and everything else, all the other characters in the sentence, are hyperlinked, where you just hover over your mouse, and then they'll pop up a tooltip. You'll be able to see what the word is. If it's a verb, you can see like the sort of like the base form of the verb. You can have there's a little speaker icon where you can actually hear the word being spoken. That's any word that's in the sentence, even the particles. So that's really awesome, right? A similar thing is done for the grammar. They'll teach you some grammar stuff, and then then they'll throw you like up to like a dozen exercises where they'll a lot of the time it's just they'll have a sentence, but then there'll be a gap. It's like here, and then you have a gap, and then they'll have maybe a few gaps, and then they'll have all the missing characters at the bottom, and you just drag the characters up to complete the sentence. You have to make sure they're in the right order, which means you have to understand what's being spoken, what the sentence is trying to convey, all that good stuff. And again, everything is sort of hyperlinked with tooltips, where it's like, it's not quite hyperlinked, but it's on hover. You hover your mouse over it, and then you'll get a tooltip. And it's all really well done. And I think some of the content is even sort of crowdsourced from other users, which is nice. Hit a bit of a lull with Renshu right now, because with the grammar side, I've gotten to the point where it's like, okay, you're about to learn some more grammar, but your vocabulary is not up to snuff. You need to learn like, they say you need to learn like 200 more words. Once you learn 200 more words, then you can continue on with the grammar lessons. Well, I'm like, well, shit. So for the last week or so, it's just been like, vocab drills on Renshu. And I'm missing some days now because I've gotten so busy with work where I sometimes like I'm done work, I've had dinner, and the last thing I want to do is just sit down and study Japanese. I try to put in like an hour. I've been trying to put in like an hour of study every day. But yeah, sometimes just like 8 p.m., getting close to 9 p.m. is like, do not want to do any Renshu. It's just too much because it can take, if you're being very, how do I say? If you're not just speeding through it, if you're not just speeding through the vocabulary, it can take a while. Like to learn the 60 words and do the drills with the 40 words. If I'm being really good about it, I will have them display and read out the sample sentence with the vocabulary, and then I will make sure that I've studied that sentence backwards and forwards, make sure I can say it, make sure I'm sort of understanding how they structure the sentence, and then I'll be satisfied. On to the next word. Do the same thing. Do that 40 times. That can take easily half an hour to 45 minutes, right? And then back when they're still feeding me the grammar lessons, and that can be another like half an hour or so. If I'm not rushing through it. So, but overall, like, it's a great resource. I really like it. If I had to just pick just one of these websites or apps to use for learning Japanese, I would definitely keep this one. So, that's not all. These are just, everything I've talked about is just more sort of, how do I, where do I find lessons for learning Japanese vocab and grammar? And then they'll give me quizzes and drills. Pretty standard stuff, right? But then there's also the other side of it where you don't feel like studying, you don't feel like doing drills, but you still want to be exposed to Japanese. That's where the Japanese immersion comes from. That's where you pull up YouTube, and there are about a zillion channels out there for not only Japanese lessons, but just like listening to Japanese conversations, Japanese podcasts, things like that. So I didn't make a list. I was supposed to prepare a list in preparation for tonight's stream. But off the top of my head, actually, I can't even do the top of my head. In terms of YouTube, there's so much good stuff out there. I've kind of settled on a few channels I like. Japanese with Shun, I think, is the last one I watched this week. He's great. Okay, let me pull up my other browser. You're not gonna be able to see what I'm looking at, but I just want to look at my YouTube watch history real quick. Oh, Shun. We have Japanese Super Immersion. That's the name of the channel. It's two Japanese guys who just shoot the shit for half an hour to an hour each episode or each upload they do. Pretty good. They sometimes go on tangents or they start talking about weird things. But overall, I think this is really great because they speak pretty clearly and they speak slowly enough. And their videos are like graded that you sort of know the difficulty level. So a lot of the stuff for me, I'll check out. This says N5 on the thumbnail. I'll just say N5, which represents JLPT N5 level proficiency. Then we have OK Japanese. He's pretty good. He's kind of like a very chill Japanese dude who just talks to you directly about a variety of different topics at any given time. So a lot of monologuing. But he also speaks very clearly, speaks very slowly, or slowly enough. He's not like speaking in like a It's not like slow motion when I say slowly, but it's like you know what I mean. He's pretty good. He's very chill too, very chill demeanor. Um, I think those are the main ones. I mentioned Shun. I just want to make sure I'm saying the channel name correctly. There we go. Japanese with Shun. Yeah. He's probably my favorite right now. Again, another Japanese dude in Japan doing things in and around Japan. He tends to like the whole walk down the street with the camera point on himself format. But for some reason, I find him the easiest to understand. It's part of it's like his personality, very upbeat, engaging personality. Maybe it's the topics he chooses to talk about, or yeah, just for some reason he's not speaking any slower or simpler than some of the other YouTubers I mentioned. But for some reason, I just find him the easiest to understand, even though I'm not understanding every single word that comes out of his mouth. Just getting the vibe of what he's trying to convey is just the easiest, and it's comforting for sure, right? Gotta admit. Um, one more YouTube channel that deserves a mention is Japanese Pod 101. Let me see if I can pull up my playlist. Japanese Pod 101. So I wonder if I even just pull up. I'm looking at a lot of stuff off screen, which isn't fun for you guys. But you guys can get a peek into my algorithm. Japanese Pod 101. This channel's been around forever. It's a really big channel. They have 4 million subs. And I think it's because they're good. By the way, I noticed that some of you peeps are still in chat. Thank you very much. Anyone who's in chat, who's learning language right now, raise your hand, hit me up in the chat, use an emoji, let me know who you are. They don't have to be Japanese, just any language. Okay, so Japanese Pod, I'm gonna wrap up pretty soon. I've been talking for like a good hour, and I only wanted to do an hour for this stream because there's no way in hell I was just gonna talk learning apps for 2 hours. But yeah, I'll be wrapping things up after I talk Japanese Pod 101 and a couple other things real quick. Japanese Pod 101 has a little bit of everything. They have lessons, they have conversations. I think they have some like more fun content too, like skits. I think those are a little bit more rare. What I've enjoyed the most are like their like crash course videos where it's like learn all the basic Japanese grammar, and the video is 3 hours or 3.5 hours. So I've worked through that grammar video, the 3 hour one. What I do is I'll just put it on when I'm exercising. I have well, it's not an elliptical, it's more of like a stepper, but similar to an elliptical. I will jump on that thing for half an hour, and as I'm on that, as I'm working out, I'll just have this playing, and I'll be watching and following along, and it's awesome. It's a good way to kill two birds with one stone, and the way they structured the lessons is pretty good. Yeah. No, Japanese Ball 101, great resource. So much free stuff there. And yeah, I do like their crash course long form videos where it's just like learn all this shit in 1 hour. Sure, you watch it through. You're not. It's gonna be a fire hose of information. Just rewatch it. So I work my way through that 3 hour grammar video, and I'm just going back and repeating certain sections as I was exercising. I'll probably be watching it several times more before I'm really done with it because there's just so much stuff to learn. You want to learn Japanese as well? Okay. Awesome. Well, I hope some of this information gives you some ideas. I'll probably end up doing a part two because I have sampled other apps and I just stopped using them because I hit the paywall. But maybe next time or on a different stream, I'll talk about Pimsleur. That's an interesting one. There's Pimsleur. There's a Memrise. And I could talk about Lingo Deer a little bit as well. But those are 3 phone apps I have installed that I have used, but not too much. Just because I just did their free content and then they started to ask me for money. And I was like, yeah, I'm already paying for... I already paid for 2 apps. I think I'm good. And there's so much free shit on the internet. Like Tofugu, like Japanese Power 101, or like any of the millions of Japanese language YouTube channels. Let me see, what else did I want to cover? I think that's it. I am also listening to on Spotify. There are some podcasts, or there are a bunch of podcasts you can listen to on Spotify. One in particular really stood out to me. One in particular I've been listening since the very beginning. And that is Nihongo Kontepe. This guy has been going on for quite some time. I think I started listening from episodes like back in 2019. And he is interesting because he's just a single guy monologuing. He'll just choose a topic and just like freestyle talk about a topic. But each episode is only about 3 to 3.5 minutes. So extremely bite-sized stuff. The guy is, again, he's got a great personality. Has a lot to say. And like keeps it relatively simple. Like as far as I know, he's only got one podcast. And his podcast seems kind of geared towards people at the N5 and N4 level of proficiency. So even if you find an episode that he's talking about things that are just going way over your head, it's still like enjoyable to listen to just because of him as a host. And the episodes are so short where it's like, if you just want to listen to it again, it's not a huge commitment. Oh, that 3-minute episode was kind of cool. I believe he's talking about like food or restaurants. I should listen to it again. It's only going to be another 3 minutes. So it's very easy. And if you're doing something like a chores or just taking a walk or whatever, it's easy to just have them playing in the background. And just for immersion, it's great, right? You don't have to understand everything that he's saying at any given moment. But just having this dude in your ear rambling on about whatever is helpful. And that's the immersion side of like my education so far. Nihongo Kontepe, a couple other Spotify podcasts now and then. Those YouTube channels I mentioned. And yeah, watch some. I'm trying to watch some Japanese dramas on Netflix. And I tried to watch both with and without English subtitles. On Netflix, there's a show called Light of My Lion. I've only gone through a couple episodes, but it's doable if you have subtitles off. But I resort to just turning subtitles on. Okay. I think I'm running out of steam. I think I'm running out of steam. The next time I do one of these streams, I will talk more about those 4 apps that I mentioned: Memorize, Pimsleur, Lingo Deer. What was the last one? Shoot. Memorize, Pimsleur, Lingo Deer. I think it's just 3 apps. My bad. Talk about those 3 apps. I will share any other new YouTube channels I found that are interesting. And I'll probably give an update on where things are with Renshu. Because I have a lot of vocab to catch up on until they let me proceed with the next set of grammar lessons. So hopefully by then, maybe I can buckle down this weekend and blast through a bunch of new vocabulary. And of course, one thing I have to mention in terms of like immersion. Yeah, because I like a dragon. That's been fun. I'm playing with English subtitles on, but I'm also actively listening to the dialogue. So I do this thing where I'm looking at the subtitles, but also looking away. I mean, I start not looking at the subtitles, but then I'll quickly flick my eyes to the subtitles to make sure I'm understanding everything, and then I'll look away again and trying to listen to what the characters are saying and try to understand. So yeah, after like a Dragon is gonna take a long time to get through. I thought I'd be separating things out into seasons, so I envisioned playing through Yakuza Like a Dragon as season 1, and the next game I do will be season 2, and so on and so forth. I'm not sure what the next game will be after Yakuza Like a Dragon. Part of me is thinking, oh, I'll play Ghost of Tsushima, or I could play another game from the company that made Yakuza Like a Dragon, like Judgment, or go back to Yakuza 0, or play a Steam game called, I haven't bought it yet, that's on my wish list. Play a Steam game called Wagotabi? Wagotabi, A Japanese Journey. This is explicitly like a learning game. Really good reviews on Steam. So the next time that goes on sale, I might just grab it to have it ready. It's not very expensive anyway at regular price, but I've been conditioned to wait for sales, right? As have we all. You download the Beyblade anime from the year 2000. I was told it's different in Japanese compared to the dub. Yeah. That happens. During the Christmas break, I played a lot more of Unicorn Overlord. And actually, I streamed Unicorn Overlord once right before I did the channel rebrand. That's a really fun game. In terms of learning Japanese, that one's kind of weird because there was some controversy about this actually, where it was criticized for having bad localization. And I can't remember the specifics, but even to my noobish ears, I did detect an odd instance where a character in the game responded like, what was it? Like he ended up saying a whole bunch of shit in Japanese, but the English in the word bubble, what he said in English was just like, "Yes, sir." And even though I didn't understand all the spoken Japanese, I was like, there's no way that that was just yes, sir." And that happened more than once. And I thought about the controversy about the game when the game first came out, and people who actually were bilingual were saying like, "Ugh, the localization in this game is pretty rough." So yeah, um, it's not like a hard science. Like translation is definitely an art. It's not perfect, but yeah, I'll see if I can find some more shows, some more like Japanese content for immersion purposes that I can share with you guys as well. And likewise, you guys let me know too. But yeah, like gaming wise, it's yeah because I like a dragon mainly. And then when I'm done with that, Ghost of Tsushima or the Wago Tabi game I just mentioned. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I need to go to the washroom too. Oh, before we go, I know so far in the non-dub of Beyblade, in the dub, Kenny has a talking bit based beast in his laptop, a talking beast in his laptop that doesn't exist in the sub. A talking bit beast in his laptop that doesn't exist in the sub. Hmm. Beyblade, like, what is Beyblade's about anyway? I have to look that up. But I'll follow up with you on Discord. Since you sent me something to check out on Discord, I will follow up with you there. But yeah, I've been that's the stream for tonight, peeps. Thank you so much for listening to me drawl on about my learning journey 3 months in. I hope you got some ideas. In case you are interested in learning Japanese yourself, I hope I've given you a good starting point for Japanese language. What you see behind me, number one place to start if you decide that you're gonna learn Japanese, go through the Tofugu Ultimate Guide to Learning Hiragana and Katakana. And you may be asking yourself, do I even need to learn the Japanese alphabet? The very first time I tried to learn Japanese, this was back in like 2008, 2009. I thought I would just focus on like speaking, oral language learning, and I would just rely on the Romaji. Romaji is like basically sounding out the Japanese words with the English alphabet, right? Like konnichiwa, writing out konnichiwa, Konichiwa, whatever. Surprise! Romaji is not used anywhere in the real world, right? And you know, I look back and I'd be like, I was kind of being silly and naive because learning hiragana and katakana, even just like at the basic level that I have, where if you show me a bunch of hiragana characters, it'll take me a long time to kind of like read through and actually form the sentence. But the first time you do that, you're gonna be like, holy fuck, I can read Japanese, right? All of a sudden, just after like a week or so of drilling, you can read Japanese. Now, when you actually read Japanese out in the real world, there's a lot of kanji mixed in there, and that's a whole nother ballgame. But when there's no kanji around, you can actually start reading Japanese. And then yeah, understanding is a whole other thing too. But shit, that sort of realization is just like, oh, that light bulb goes off. And you're like, well, why did I think I'd just get by without learning hiragana or katakana? Anyway, thanks, Josh. I'm gonna stop rambling. I said I'd sign off like 10 times now. I'm gonna sign off for real now. See you guys later. I'll see you next week, and we'll play. We'll get back to Yakuza Like a Dragon next Wednesday. Okay. Bye.